Man, I am so sorry, guys. This is I've had the hardest time getting this stupid microphone and headset to freaking work. So let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me before we even get started because um, I'm late and I apologize. Technical difficulties are what they are at this point. So thank you, Timothy Green, for being in here early. Quentin, thank you very much. Baxter Mallory, haven't seen you in a little while. Yeah, this is typical Quentin. This is very typical, man. You have to think a lot of these guys either played defense or whatever position they played on side of whatever side of the ball that is. Um, and so it's not that they can't teach it. And linebacker and defensive line go hand in hand with a lot of the techniques. And likely what'll happen is they'll probably get coached up by probably two separate position groups, possibly, as far as teaching techniques for pass coverage, if indeed that needs to happen. But as far as rushing the passer and how you kind of use your hands and stuff, how you fill gaps on the defensive line, it's very similar at linebacker. So it can be anyway. Obviously, you're playing with your hand in the dirt versus standing up, and there's a lot of there are differences, but I wouldn't look too closely into that he's a defensive line coach typically because it's common. We if you look at our Jordan Leslie coached uh, defensive line all throughout his career. He's coached all over the field, so it's typical for coaches to do that, and it's important for coaches to do that if they have aspirations of becoming a coordinator someday. So yeah, I figured some people would have questions about that, so we'll get right to it. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, first of all, thank you guys for joining. This is Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. And let me say, shout out my sponsor, and then we'll get into this article really quick about this hire. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle, and that's in stock, and that's every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory. It's across the state of West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com, or you can come in today to the home of friends and family pricing. And that's only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. All right. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me because nobody said anything yet. What's up, Mr. Workman? Hello from Dangus, Bloody Mingo. Yes, sir. I know all about it. Born and raised in there, Dangus. I got family from Breeden and all over there. All right. Let's get to this article. I've been saying that for like 5 minutes. Let's see. I got to slot it in here. I obviously wasn't prepared today, guys. I apologize. Hope you guys had a good day and everything. Hope everything's going well for you. It is for me. Um, I've been. It's funny. It's almost comical how many referrals I've had to go and deal with here lately as far as health issues go. All right. WVU set to hire Victor Cabral or Cabral. I'm not really exactly sure how his last name is pronounced. As new assistant football coach, West Virginia University expected to hire Appalachian State defensive line coach Victor Cabral, Christopher Hall, January 24, 2024. This was at 2:30 today. According to Matt Zenitz of 247 Sports, West Virginia is expected to hire Appalachian State defensive line coach Victor Cabral as the outside linebackers coach. The hiring comes after safeties coach Dontae Wright accepted the defensive coordinator position at Troy in December. Cabral took over the defensive line at App State last season, and the unit had a lot of newcomers in 2023, and nonetheless, the unit finished the season with 16 sacks, with 7 defensive linemen adding to that total. Cabral was a defensive lineman at Georgia Southern from 2000 to 2004, and he spent 11 years on the Eagles coaching staff over 3 different stints. And also has coached at Samford, and Georgia Military College. And here's some other things he's done. So he did the GMI, Georgia Military College defensive line special teams there. Georgia Southern D-line, Georgia Southern Director of Player Personnel. Samford, he was D-line, and Georgia Southern D-line. So, this is going to be, and my hair's jacked up here. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So,
It seems like, anyway, a little bit of a transition. So good on that's a good question to start there. Quinn. So to me, this is a guy that's worked in the NFL. That's certainly something you can sell to recruits. He knows what that looks like. 11 years is a long time in the NFL, certainly. So this guy's going to know what a good player looks like when he sees it. It looks like, because we're shifting into this new 3-4-ish type style, moving away from what we were doing, which was more of a stack type defense. There's going to be obviously we're going to have 2 outside pass rushers now, or at least one outside pass rusher and one that does a little bit of both, right? But most likely we'll have 2 guys coming off the edge. And that's what this guy's going to work with, right? He's going to work with these. So basically, Andrew Jackson's going to be working with defensive end to the nose. Outside the nose, certainly Andrew Jackson can help with pass rushing tips and all that. But it sounds like this guy's somewhat of a specialist in that, being that Appalachian State had success last year as a pass rushing teaching kind of coach. So that's what we need. I thought for a long time that we needed somebody that specializes in teaching outside linebacker / pass rushing positions. And I think it showed up on film and on tape that our guys have very limited move sets in the past, and that could have been on the player. Don't want to say it's on the coaches, but certainly I didn't see a guy like Bartlett who had in my opinion, he was a very good player. He was a good player. He was just an average player, but he only had one move coming off that edge, man. And it was to try to beat the tackle around the edge and get bend and try to get to the quarterback. And sometimes he was faster, sometimes he wasn't. We all thought he was going to be the second coming against Virginia Tech. And then that never happened again in his career. So he's just one example. And you look at a guy like Tyron Bradley, who really started to come into his own last year. Be exciting to see what he can do. The unfortunate loss of James Hurd Jr., man, I think this would have been great for him. But our outside linebacking position is, obviously with Ty French coming on board, is going to be something to watch. And I really like it. We'll see where it goes. I think he's going to have his work cut out for him, especially with a guy like Ty French coming in, who is an elite pass rusher, but is also deficient run defender. And I mean, like, really deficient. Like, he struggled is not even a good, it doesn't even describe how he played the run in FCS. He got mauled. So, and I'm not trying to talk bad about Ty French, because he makes up for that as a pass rusher. So it'll be interesting to see how he rotates these guys. Obviously, teams are probably going to try to catch us with Ty French on the field. Guys like that, you're always looking for mismatches and run the ball out. So it'll be interesting to see how he mixes up that kind of stuff. Good job. Hey, what's up, Coos? Yeah, Anthony Wilson probably does know. That's a good point. Mountaineer Lair with Kenny had one of the best shows on YouTube until I guess he stopped. I haven't seen him do anything. I want more slaw dogs, Kenny. Kenny's got slaw dogs that'll make your mouth water for game day. Got another Kenny in the house. Uh-oh, Kenny. Kenny working. And he said he's from Mingo County. What do you think about that, Coos? He's from Dingus, my stomping grounds, which makes most places that say they're from the country look like puts them to shame. In Dingus, you're an hour away. Pretty much just chalk it up. Well, when I was growing up, it was an hour. You were an hour away from the closest gas station, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Walmart. You had to plan your day around going to Walmart. It was a 3 hour, 4 hour trip. So I remember my aunt and uncle used to they'd be going all day to Walmart. That was just something that they always had going on. So appreciate Kenny being in here. It's nice having somebody from home that knows what that's like. So John Christopher, thank you for coming in, my dude. Glad to see you here as always. Timothy Green's in here as always. You guys always coming out to support. I haven't done a live in a while, man, and I'm not gonna lie, there hasn't been a lot to talk about. Sorry, my cat keeps on getting on this tripod. I'm afraid she's gonna knock it over. There hasn't been a lot to talk about, guys. So certainly you could change the direction of this conversation if you want to use that super chat button. Certainly appreciate that as always. Something we bring up on here from time to time. There's 30 of you guys in the chat. If you don't care, just pop out and hit that like button for me so I got a good start on the algorithm for this video. Because I try not to have huge expectations for videos just generally. But this one here, this news has already been out today. It's what I would consider a huge needle mover. So, as many likes as possible. But I think this is a much needed coaching hire. Now, I guess they're going to delegate the back end. I heard somebody say that maybe Leslie will go into that again, coach the back end some. Or I read somebody would. I should have probably brushed up on that before I jump back on here because it seems like any kind of football news has been so scarce and just can't wait for the portal and stuff to open back up. Kenny's in Summers County around Ghent. Nice. Timothy Green lives in Boone County near Van. Wow. That's pretty cool, man. Tim Bell says he's in Florida. Tim came on here to showboat about where he lives today. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about, Matt. It's something he's done before. He did it at Troy at times. He's coached D line there. I think he coached linebacker some. I think he's as a coordinator, you coach all over the defense. That's what I said in the beginning of the video. Likely you're not a coordinator if you haven't coached every position. That's probably including special teams, even though it doesn't really have much to do with the coordinator. It's just part of the gambit that coaches have been going through before they end up as coordinators. So anytime a coordinator goes to coach a position group, even if it's already alongside of his coordinating duties, a lot of times they this is Jordan Leslie's defense. He knows better than anybody where the safeties should be, right? And the safeties were by quit. Sorry, guys, my cat's driving me nuts here. She's about to knock the tripod over. Safeties were the least productive group. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the least productive group on the roster last year on defensive side. And which is kind of crazy considering that, Aubrey and Anthony are back there. But Aubrey was hurt. Anthony came on at the end of the year. So, and then I think Spear gets thrown in there too, with some of those numbers. But Certainly, I think the safety has a long way to go. And so Jordan Leslie is going to have his name attached to not only the entire defense, but especially the safeties. So I think with this year being as big as it is for all of us, I can't imagine them not hiring a specific safeties coach unless they trust Jordan Leslie more than anybody else. It's kind of like Neil Brown going back to coaching offense. I think nobody can do it better than I can. And in a year where, listen, this coaching staff isn't out of the weeds yet. They got to win it this year. They've got to be in contention for a Big 12 championship this year in 10 wins. And anything less, people are going to be upset over. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying there's a possibility that 8 wins is good enough this year with what we have coming back. So. Right. Appreciate that. Goes in the middle of $1 billion coal fields. That's true. Not sure what that means exactly, Club Coos. You guys know me having a conversation. Oh no, Kenny. You don't get to sit out all off season and then come back and take all my subscribers as the football season comes around. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. No, you gotta stick around with me and Coos. We're in there, there ain't no content to talk about, and try to keep your channel alive. No, but seriously, guys, it's been. Let me know in the comments, guys. What is something that you think would be a good topic? I'll throw you guys one out right here. And let me know down in the comments if you think this would be a good video. I've been thinking about doing it all day. How about this? If you look at all the preseason hype and projections going on right now, the incoming Pac-12 quarterbacks are being hyped up way more than our elder states and Big 12 guys. And I'm not including KJ Jefferson in this. He's an SEC player. We could include him in the hype as far as the incoming quarterbacks. But mostly it's Fafita, Cam Rising, and Shadur Sanders are all being ranked ahead of Garrett Green, Baron Morton, Alan Bowman, a guy who had a really good year last year. Certainly he doesn't blow you away with how he looks throwing the ball around, but certainly I think there's a case to be made for him. He played well for Oklahoma State last year. So, somehow, some way, these guys come out of a dying conference and they're getting way more hype than us. Is it because the teams they're on? Is it because with Arizona they're actually going to be good? And with Dion, there's the hype train that's always going to be surrounding that probably. And then you look at the other guy, and I'm not really sure where that's all coming from with Rising. I think he's a great player. He's been great there for a long time, but I think a lot of people expect Utah to take a step back this year. Maybe they won't. Maybe they're going to be good too. I agree with you, Matthew Swatch, and I think Shadur Sanders is going to be the player of the year in the Big 12. I told Kuz this the other day. But outside of him, I think Garrett Green. Listen, I'll tell you this: the only Green for right now is the age factor. He's coming in. He's a couple years younger. He's Nico's age, basically. So that if I was building a team, would be something I would look at because they're similar players. Fafita is probably a bit better of an intermediate passer, and maybe just a tad more explosive, but it's not. It's close between them. It really is. And they both had one good year, so it'll be interesting to see what Fafita does after losing a bunch of his talent. Listen, Garrett didn't have anything to work with last year, guys. Just remember that. He made a lot happen with a really, really good offensive line and running back room. Tell me a receiver who you were confident in week in, week out to really break out. So Garrett made that thing work with very little. Cole Taylor was probably our best, most consistent receiver over the course of the entire season until Traylor. Anyway, I felt like our Big 12 guys, even though I believe Shadur is probably going to have a great year, I think our Big 12ers get slighted a little bit. And the reason I say that about Shadur, by the way, I think people get blinded by the hype surrounding his team and his dad and the whole thing. Just look at him from a mechanics perspective, from an arm strength and arm talent perspective. He's had the best coaching his entire life. He's had the best teachers his entire life. He's no different than any other kind of coach's son, like a Manning, that has been around it and grown up around it his entire life and been taught the game from a defensive back's perspective. So I think that shows on the field. He's shown it in two different levels, FCS and FBS, and he was the most sacked quarterback in America last year, and still only threw 3 picks somehow. I'm telling you, man, I really think that kid's going to be special. I don't, off the field, Coops and I had this conversation the other day. Off the field, the whole other story with him. But if you're asking me to predict how I feel about his season's going to go, he's going to be good. Yeah, I have that list saved, actually, Matthew. I saved it the other day. Got it right here, actually. Hold on, see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I actually plan on using it in my video, so there it is. Top 15 college quarterbacks next season: Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, Shadur Sanders at 5, Fafita at 6, Jackson Dart at 7, Will Howard at 8, Jalen Daniels at 9, Cam Rising at 10, Brady Cook at 11. That's too low for him, in my opinion. Riley Leonard at 12, Grayson McCall at 13. That's a sneaky one there. I'd love to have had him a couple years ago, guys. That kid, and then Garrett's at 15. So it's a solid list. It's not like you can 100% for sure say Garrett is better than that guy. There's a couple guys on that list that I would feel confident Garrett's better than. Man, it's a solid list overall. Timothy Green said if we go undefeated, Garrett should be considered for the Heisman Trophy. Oh, he'll be considered if we're undefeated. There's no doubt about that. Very rarely does a quarterback on a Power 5 team that's undefeated not be considered for the Heisman. So I do wish they would do a Heisman and an MVP kind of trophy, because there are players that don't put up eye-popping stats that are more important to their teams than, like, for instance, the kid from Florida State last year. He had great numbers, but he probably wasn't going to win the Heisman. But was any player more important to his team? You saw what happened to Florida State. So there are players like that across the country, but that's one example. Will be in the final contestant. No cookie. Miller Kenny says. No cookie. Wow. So let me know below, guys. Oh, here he comes. Biggie with the smoke. I personally think Nico is a better quarterback. Would you like to clarify why underneath Biggie? This is an open forum, and thank you for the super chat, by the way. Let me know why you think Nico is a better quarterback than Garrett. I'll be interested to hear that. Matthew Swanson said that's a crazy take. Matthew, why do you think that's a crazy take? It'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say on this. I certainly thought going into last year, I wanted Nico to win that job. I think I was open about that because I felt like, and I still believe this, if Nico hits whatever Nico's ceiling is higher than Garrett's, in my opinion. But this doesn't mean that Garrett's not further along than Nico right now. And Garrett is more dangerous than Nico play to play. But if Nico figured it out, there's no in my opinion. I do believe if now that's a big caveat. If he figured it out, that's like wishing for a Big 12 championship, So he said more accurate arm, stronger arm, smarter. Mecca it's just Green's time. You got me confused here, brother man. Personally think Nico is a better quarterback, and then you said it's just Garrett Green's time. So I think you're trying to say is Nico is all those things you listed, but it's just Green's time right now, and he's going to get to play. I think is what you're saying. And you think Nico will surpass this next year or whenever they see plays. Is that basically summing it up? I agree. Oh, there's no doubt he's got the mechanics. He's a lifelong quarterback. Yeah, that's not to me. That's not a good indicator, anyways, Matthew. He was a freshman. And one of those games, he just thrown in the freaking fire. He's something on state. What's his record though? It's kind of like the Tim Tebow deal. A lot of people look at his numbers, but he was when he was several games above 500 in the NFL as a starter. He played on some good Denver teams. Don't get me wrong. So, I've made the comparison to Tim Tebow with Nico a few different times. They're both lefties. They're both bigger kids. They're both muscular kind of looking kids. Oh, my cat, man. They're both muscular kind of kids. And I think they have similar running styles, but I don't think he will ever be the goal line runner that Tebow was. But they do remind me of each other in some ways. I think Nico's more polished passer, but Nico's a better quarterback than Green. Rode the bench for 2 seasons, so it's his time to leave. I don't think you're wrong, Biggie, but I can't prove it. If a lot of people know, I had a lot of questions about Garrett Green going into last year. I said at that point he had never stayed healthy, which he still hasn't done for a full season, unfortunately. So Nico's going to have to stay ready. So, but the areas that he needed to improve as a passer, he absolutely did that. And you can't argue with some of the Pro Football Focus stuff that came out about Garrett Green and some of the big time throws he made. He led the country in big time throws down the field, and he is the definition of a running, play action, deep shot quarterback. That's what he is. That's his game. Now, can he figure out a way to improve upon that intermediate game? I think so, because he did it last year. If he figures it out to a medium to advanced level, then you're really starting to talk about maybe a Will Greer type player for Garrett Green, because he's really that intermediate game away from being an elite quarterback. even at his size. I just don't know if he can do it. He's got so much baseball in him. He loves to zip the ball, and unfortunately, touch is something that he has a really hard time with, especially when there's, you know, let's say it's a shorter throw that needs to be made. He has a hard time taking zip off the ball. Like, I don't know if that's experience or if it's some people just lack the touch. But at the end of the day, I think Garrett's going to certainly be in the conversation for Player of the Year this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nico didn't make it really hard on him this summer camp. I think Nico's going to take a huge step forward this offseason. I really do. People I've talked to said he's hungry, and in his mind, he's still fighting for a job this offseason. So that's why he didn't transfer. That's why he's still here. And don't, he better stay healthy this year, because I think if Nico comes in, there's a chance he might not relinquish that job. So Garrett better just not give it up. But at the end of the day, I don't even know if that would matter. I think Coach Brown would probably stay with Garrett, and maybe that would be the right choice. I don't know. Not a whole lot of comments going on here, guys. 30 minutes in. I don't have a whole lot else to say. Just trying to get you guys rolling in the chats talking about Garrett, Nico, but it's almost like people were just, it's the off season. Yeah, he did. He definitely did. No doubt about that. Appreciate you for coming in, Big E. I hope so. I'm a big fan, so so hopefully he can be magical. Me too, Timothy. All right, guys. Thank you for joining in. I don't have a lot else to say. There's 44 of you guys in here. Pop out and hit that like button on your way out. It would help me out a lot. Thank you for joining me for this live edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. I'll try to do what I can. I'll keep content up on here somehow. Um, I'm going to have to start doing some other stuff. I have some Penn State stuff I have planned. I'm going to have to do it, guys, because there's just not enough West Virginia only content out there. So do me a favor, just if you see me post a Penn State video or anything like that, just try to watch the video for me. Because at this point in time, West Virginia, until the portal opens back up, there won't be a whole lot of stuff to talk about. Joey, we're actually getting ready to end the episode, man, but you're the man. Joey Foster. Guys, check Joey out on X or anywhere that you can find. He's truly one of the unsung heroes in the community of us West Virginia people. So certainly appreciate Joey Foster for jumping on. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Be sure to say hi to the new coach. Go follow him on X, guys. He seems like a really good family guy. So go wish him well. I wish you well. Hope you enjoyed the episode. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. You're out.